Teachers of Reddit, how easy is it to tell if a kid has a crush on somebody? And what are some entertaining stories surrounding that? Used to be a Calc 1 teaching assistant, this really smart kid kept coming up to the TAR sessions because he very obviously had a crush on a girl who would also show up to after hours. They would both be the only two people in the sessions. When they needed homework help, I'd ask them to solve the problems together and come to me if they had any questions while I pretended to catch up on work but actually played GTA on my laptop. Sometimes I'd overhear them talking and getting to know each other. It was cute. He sure did make my life a hell of a lot easier. Lol. All you had to do was follow the damn trig. CJ. I've been on the student side of this. There was this cute girl in my physics class in high school who was struggling with the material. And I was pretty good at it. We were friendly and knew each other through classes and band. But never really got to know each other outside class. I think the teacher thought we would be good together though. Because one day he went out of his way to pair me with her when we were going over the homework. He did this a few times. And eventually it turned into tutor sessions after class where we got to know each other really well. Long story short, we just celebrated our 5th anniversary together. Thanks Mr. R. Right now I have 2 kids in my first period that just don't leave each other alone. The girl constantly complains if the boy doesn't show up to school. He is always pulling on her hair or finding any excuse to touch her. He likes to play thumb wars just to hold hands. It's really cute but also annoying because they refuse to do work sometimes. I usually get them to do work by saying a very loud and annoying or. Teaching is fun. LMAO, I'm going to have to use that or. Hell, it may even work on pairs that don't like each other. See also, you two act like an old married couple. As a former teenager. That's a good one if you want to elicit a reaction. Did you just call your student a poor bastard? LMAO. I have this one teacher that will totally just say anything that's on her mind. Once she just flat out said, "Do you guys like each other or what?" to these 2 kids in my class. Within 3 days they were dating and still are. If they get married she better be in the front fucking row. Are you guys getting married or what? 3 days later. My high school teacher would change the seating chart and make your seat next to your crush if you told her. Though, her one condition was that she'd keep you seated next to your crush even if you guys broke up or stopped liking each other. Funny times. That sounds like a wish for the monkey's paw. You guys break up and you're still sitting next to each other and it's awkward. I hold a lot of class discussions. Sometimes it's easy because you'll notice kids smile different when their crush is talking. Their entire body will suddenly cue into that person. It's adorable. Can relate. When I was an 8th grader, my crush was not the only thing that stood up when she had to answer a question in class. Smegma is actually Willy cheese. Incredibly obvious. It's also unfortunately obvious when they have a crush on you. Awkward as frick. I've never purposefully helped my students get closer with their crushes. It's already hard enough to make a seating chart without considering these things, but I don't tease them about it like some do and might let a quick convo or note passing slip by if I catch on to what's going on. Oof. Now I feel really bad for the teachers I had crushes on in high school. God, if my 8th grade math teacher was on Reddit, she'd tell a story about how she had to tell you, Flynn_lives. Hey moron. Stop playing Sim City 2000 for a second and pay attention to the girl sitting next to you. Who is literally professing her love to you. I was a dumbass. In your defense. SimCity 2000 was. No, I can't even defend it. I'm a new teacher here, young and stuff, 21, as someone who went through that about 3 years ago. It's pretty obvious. During the training program I was in, we are assigned a teacher and observe and help teach the said class. During classroom discussions, when I let the teacher do his thing, I would just sit and try and figure out who liked who. I was bored, I couldn't have my phone out. This one nerdy kid sat next to this girl. And he was just staring and staring. Funny thing is, groups were getting assigned for like a silly project about evolution. Where they would make a poster board at home. Exchange phone numbers and stuff. And I got to choose the groups. My teacher mentor liked to incorporate me into class discussions and assignments. I purposefully put him and this girl in a group by themselves. Most groups were of 3 people. Little man, I got you. I think I would have died. Not a teacher but am former high school student. My teacher was in the middle of assigning new seats row by row. 1 seat at a time. The cute foreign exchange student got placed right next to me, my current seat, and then as she said my name and new seat I just yelled out, "No." She asked me if I'd prefer to stay where I was and I nodded. Totally bro move Muz. Z thank you. Muz. Z is a hero to many. Student here. One of the teachers I had would place people next to each other sometimes if the teacher thought that some people might have a thing for each other. It was always the wrong people though and nothing really came it. I think a lot of my teachers did this. Somehow. I always ended up next to my high school crush. This went on for years. Group assignments. It was always her and I. Lab partners. Her and I. It honestly made it more awkward because I figured we'd still be in groups even if we broke up. We were also of the same denomination and often went on church outings together. I can't say I'm not kicking myself for not making a move. Though, I wasn't sure at the time. But in retrospect as an adult I realized she was crushing on me too. Womp womp. I teach K8 and some of the older kids will tell me or their friends will tell me. A lot of the 5th grade girls like the middle school boys. And they just get all giggly and it's pretty adorable. There's a few of the slightly younger kids who I can tell might end up dating when they're older because of how they bicker. Just watching the dynamics that go on in the school is generally entertaining. I'd imagine it's like watching a show of a hyperactive community of monkeys socializing. Teacher. It's usually easy to notice on students that are more reserved or a little troublemaker. It's amazing how a little crush can turn Johnny never talks into a student who raises his hand to answer every question. I currently have one who can be a handful and is not the best at personal hygiene. One day he showed up with his hairbrush and 6 bottles of Axe body spray and that put off red flags. Sure enough at recess I see him with a girl on the swings. Working with 6th grade it's fun to watch this EW stage and give them crap about crushes. Just don't light a match around him. Not a teacher but looking back on myself in high school it had to be painfully obvious. She would take my hand and draw on it all class. That was already a red flag but she also would place my hand all over and give me a feel of everything. As a teenage boy I didn't mind but boy was it not subtle at all. Ended up going to 2 homecomings and prom with her so Kat was kind of out of the bag after that. Oh man. The longing stares across the room. The almost creepy wistful what-ifs you can just see in their eyes. When I was in middle school. That was me. It's almost painful how relatable some of these stories are. Didn't realize I was so obvious and oblivious at the same time. Oh my god. Yes. We always know. The most blatant one is when a student came to me talking about how one of the girls in class kept looking at him and he couldn't focus. It's weird. And she looks like a bug. I pulled her aside to ask if she liked him. And she nodded up and down really fast and excited. I had to talk to her about not staring and she said she understood. She stopped staring. But started sitting in front of him and twerking in her seat. Or dropping things and bending over to get them in front of him. They were in 6th grade. We had multiple parent-teacher conferences about it. And let me guess. In 10 years. This girl will be on AskReddit explaining this as an answer to something like, what was the most embarrassing thing you did around your crush?